All right, we are recording.
Okay.
You ready?
Feel good, Clint? All right.
Good morning. Today is April 9th, 2025, and we are the District 3 Environmental Commission meeting in Stratford, Vermont to conduct a pre-hearing conference on application 3R1135 filed by Rachel Kendall for the use of existing buildings for women's wellness, including regular yoga classes, weddings, receptions, and the musical events on a tract exceeding 1 acre located at 20 Kendall Road in Stratford, Vermont. My name is Ashley Lincoln. I am the acting chair for this hearing. I reside in Randolph Center, Vermont. My fellow commissioner member here is Suzanne Butterfield of Stockbridge. In accordance with the Vermont Statute 312, Vermont's open meeting law, I confirm that we have taken the following steps. We are providing public access to the meeting by online video conference with additional access offered through telephone. We are using the Microsoft Teams platform for this hybrid meeting. Both members of the commission have the ability to communicate during this meeting, and the public has access to listen and, if desired, participate in this meeting by attending in person, downloading the Microsoft Teams application, or by calling in to a toll-free number provided in the meeting notice. In addition, we have provided public notice of instruction for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing this meeting, including how to access the meeting using telephone or Microsoft Teams and our meeting notice. That document, including those instructions, have also been provided in the meeting notice on the Act 250 database online. If you are having problems using Teams on your computer, you could call into the meeting on your telephone by dialing 802-828-7667 and entering 778-000-883. The numbers are in the hearing notice if you need to look them up. For those of you who may participate by phone, please press *5 if you wish to raise your hand and *6 to unmute yourself. Next, a couple of housekeeping items. This meeting is subject to Vermont's open meeting laws. By participating, you are consenting to being audio and visually recorded, and for that recording to be published in the board's online database and our YouTube channel. In addition, any written information or exhibits provided to the commission or Act 250 staff regarding official state business are considered public records and will become part of the permanent record to be published in the board's online database. The chat function has been disabled for this Teams meeting. This hearing is being recorded, including any noises, like personal conversations, made when your microphone is not muted. Therefore, please mute your microphone when not speaking. If you would like to speak during the hearing, please raise your hand. If you're in the hearing room, please raise your hand if you're in the hearing room. If you're participating online via Teams, please use the raise your hand feature, which is located in the toolbar on the top center of your screen. If you're participating exclusively by telephone, press *6 to unmute and speak up so we can hear you. For the audio-visual record and for the benefit of those participating solely by telephone, please state your name before speaking and, if relevant, your street address. Finally, and this is important, please do not log in to the Microsoft Teams meeting on a computer or other device and participate on your phone at the same time. It will cause very distracting audio feedback that will disrupt the hearing. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call of attendance of all the participants here in the meeting. Okay, let's skip that and say, has everyone signed in? Okay, we're making the sign-in sheet. Fantastic. So we'll continue to do that.
Yeah, we could do that.
Official sign.
Why don't we ask, the applicant? The applicant and their representative.
Fantastic. So I will turn the floor over to our applicant, Rachel Kendall, and ask you to please introduce your team.
Okay, certainly. Sorry, what's that?
Sure.
I am Rachel Kendall. Well, everybody knows. My two fellow teammates here are Rob, actually I have three, I'm just saying, right? Rob Johnson and Corey Ford, John Anderson, and I have Corey Mack on teams, and Isaac. Are some and my mother Meredith Kendall, who's at home.
Okay. Chris, want to introduce?
I'm Chris Boyle. I represent Bob and Judy Fondren, who live at 14 Kendall Road, and Linda Titus, who lives at 29 Van Dyke Road.
Thank you. I'll introduce myself. My name is Pete Kopsko. I'm the district coordinator for the District 3 Commission. Quinn Mann, who's another district coordinator, is here helping with all the new technology. Everyone comfortable? Warm it up. Gonna get one more. At noon, the heat goes off, and we'll turn it back on. Okay. So everyone, send it. So we.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we have, bear with me a second. Okay. I'll do it. So as I call your name, those of you who are here in the room, please raise your hand to identify yourself. So we got John, Mary Linehan. Did I say that right? Linehan. That's me. All right, Steve Wilbanks. Martha Wall. Here. John Freitag. Did I say it right? Michael Scanlon. Brian Coblet. Well, you already said me. Tony Pippi. Dennis Tetra. Thank you. Kyle Perry. Isaac Gold. Oh, yeah, thank you. Sorry. Carol Langstaff. Carol. Oh, thank you. Linda Titus. Thank you. Steve Marsh. Thank you. We have Chris and Patrick. Les. Thank you. Robert Fondren. Thank you. And, yeah, sorry,
Trudy Foundation?
Trudy. Over, got it. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Quinn, can you read off the names of the folks who are here on the Teams meeting?
Yes, we have Bob Bushnell, Corey Mack, Jonathan Mado, Kate Bass, sorry, Lisa Bragg, and Kathleen Taft.
Thank you.
Thank you. Participants are reminded that all people requesting party status and any other person who would like to continue to receive documents associated with this proceeding must provide us with an email address and/or a mailing address. If you haven't already done so, please email the commissioner via our district office. Describe your interest in this proceeding and provide your full name and contact information. You can find an email address for this district office in the official notice for this hearing. So for conflicts of interest, the commissioners have reviewed all of the materials submitted with this application, in part with an eye toward identifying any conflicts of interest that a commissioner might have. We are not aware of any conflicts of interest that need to be disclosed at this time. The ex parte communication outside of today's proceedings, I want to remind everyone that all communications, whether by letter, email, telephone, or in person, must flow through Pete Kofsko, our district coordinator, and not through other parties or commission members. We are now going to administer the oath. Okay, so I'm going to ask anyone who thinks they might address the commission during this hearing to swear or affirm that they will tell the truth. Accordingly, anyone who expects to address us, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony or evidence that you shall provide relative to the consideration of this application shall be truthful, accurate, and complete under the pains and penalties of perjury? If so, answer, I do.
I do.
Yes, I do.
Sorry, there's one other person online.
I do.
Okay, Corey, you were able to, okay, thank you both.
Did you get mine? Yes?
Yes, and Bob, yeah, I think.
Great, I do, yeah.
So in a few minutes here, the applicant will give us an overview of what is being applied for. But first, I'd like to make some comments on party status and the process for participating in the hearing. The commission's charge is to collect evidence as to whether this project meets the requirements of Act 250. And based upon that evidence, to decide to either issue a permit with or without conditions, or deny a permit. We gather the evidence in order to make an informed decision. This hearing is part of the process to collect that evidence. You might want to participate in this proceeding as a party. Party status is outlined in the Act 250 statutes. It's important mainly for two reasons. First, a party may introduce evidence, bring in experts or other witnesses to testify, and take part in the argument. Second, only a party may appeal our decision to the environmental court if they are unhappy with our decision. Party status is decided on an issue-by-issue basis. Act 250 is organized around 32 criteria and sub-criteria. Therefore, when your turn comes, please identify yourself, where your property is located, and identify each Act 250 criterion under which you believe the project will adversely affect you or your property. Then explain how you think that project will have a specific impact on you under each of those specific criteria. The commission will make party status determinations on a preliminary basis so that we can organize the hearing. Sometimes, after we hear all the testimony, we determine that while it appeared at first that someone should have party status under a specific Act 250 criterion, ultimately, they did not prove or document an impact under that criterion. We will make final party status determination when we issue a final decision. There are three major categories which a person may participate in an Act 250 proceeding. First, the Vermont legislature has determined what certain persons or entities have a right under Vermont statutes to participate as a party. We refer to these persons as parties by right or statutory parties. The state of Vermont and all of its agencies, town select board members, municipal planning commissioners, and regional planning commissioners are parties by right. Second, any person may be admitted as a party if they can show a particular interest unique to them that might be affected by the project and demonstrate that their interest is related to any of the Act 250 criteria. Those who are admitted as parties will have the right to appeal the commission's decision. Finally, if you do not qualify as a party to this proceeding, the commission may allow you to participate as a friend of the commission. If you are able to offer the commission certain information that might not otherwise be available to us. For example, you might be an attorney, engineer, or scientist with specialized knowledge that might inform the proceedings. Within the discretion of the commission, your participation may be limited, and friends of the commission do not have appeal rights to appeal the commission's decision. Please note, no one is required to seek party status or friend of the commission status. Some neighbors simply might want to listen and become more informed about a project. These folks are welcome to do so. Does anyone have any questions at this point about the process we will be following? Anything online? Okay. For the record, the commission visited the site earlier today, where we reviewed the site plan, walked around the property, and observed 2 buildings, tent areas, parking areas, a cooking area, and locations where sound tests were conducted. Any comments made at the site visit were not recorded and are not part of any record. Before we proceed with the merits hearing, does anyone have any questions about our process? We ask the applicant to present a general overview of the project in brief, keeping in mind the commission has read the application and the exhibit. Please briefly describe how the project addresses all Act 250 criteria, except the following criteria which are contested and will be addressed later in the hearing.
So the criterion that has been identified so far as being likely to be contested are 1B, waste disposal as relates to wastewater, 1B and 4 related to stormwater, 1E relating to streams, 1G relating to wetlands, 2 and 3 relating to water supply, 5, traffic safety and congestion, 8, scenic beauty and aesthetics, 8A, necessary wildlife habitat, and 10, town and regional. So, John, Rob, and Rachel, if one of you want to make just a brief introduction about the project, then we'll get into party stats. Rob?
Yeah.
So again, keep it brief, just to make sure everyone knows what we're talking about, and we'll get into the detail.
Well, the 2 buildings that you saw today, the proposal is to use that area as, well, the shell building that we first met in front of. That's the building to be a wellness center, yoga and that type of thing for women's wellness. And then we circled around the upper building looking at the 10 area, the mobile bathroom area, and upper house, which is currently a single family house. That will be utilized in the project. Then we circled down the driveway, again, went by the first, where we met for the first tent site, and out into the parking down below. That would be only for significant events such as weddings, which are proposed to be a couple hundred people at the max for the wedding. Those would be 12 events for less per year, 12 event days. So that's pretty much the project in a nutshell.
Thank you.
That's pretty brief, wasn't it?
So we will now consider requests from individuals or organized groups seeking party status or other participation rights and determine under which criteria they may be preliminarily admitted. If you would like to request party status in this manner, please raise your hand.
Yep, Sue Mulbanks. So Chris, and you, Chris, you're representing the neighbors, so, let's look here. Okay, great. So you want to start with, Chris or, Chris, why don't you go ahead and start?
Again, I'm Chris Boyle. I represent Robert and Gertrude Fondren and Linda Titus. We are requesting party status with respect to criteria 1 as it pertains to air pollution and noise. Criteria 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, and 10.
We saw your filing, but if you wouldn't mind just elaborating a little bit about it.
Sure, yeah. As you point out, Pete, we submitted a written request for party status, so I'll rely on all the information in there. But very briefly, the Fondrens are immediate abutters to the applicant's property, as is Linda Titus. The Fondrens' home is the home that was behind us as we were standing in that parking area, or where the tent site A will be in front of the building that's under construction. As you saw, it is in extreme proximity to the Fondrens' home. It is roughly 164 feet from tent site A, where there will be 200-person weddings with amplified music, to the Fondrens' property line. From the lower parking area that's proposed to hold somewhere between 60 and 80 cars, as I understand it, that's roughly 67 feet to the Fondrens' property line. So it is almost literally on their doorstep. Linda Titus's property is behind the existing single-family residence. So when we were standing up behind the home, if you looked into those trees, there was kind of a clearing, and that's Linda's property line. That's under 400 feet from where we were standing to Linda's property line. What the Fondrens and Linda all love about the area is its quiet, rural character. They like to sleep with the windows open in the warmer months at night. They use their properties to walk around on. Linda in particular has hiking trails that she takes up to the boundary line she shares with Rachel's property. So she is in that area on a routine basis. There will be massive impacts on both the Fondrens and Linda were this 200-person wedding venue to be approved. There will be noise that they will hear every time there's a wedding. They will see the goings-on on the property. The Fondrens are located, as I said, there's a clear shot right from their house to tent site A. And when Linda walks on her trail, she is able to see down through those trails into the applicant's property. So it's difficult for me to believe someone would argue they won't see and hear what's going on over there. They have interest in commercial development in the rural residential 1 district where they live, proceeding in accordance with Stratford's town plan, which does not permit a wedding venue in that rural residential 1 district. I'm happy to discuss further if you all have questions about particular criteria. But in a nutshell, my clients will see and hear this project very immediately.
So, if I might respond briefly to each of the criteria. Criteria one, the, noise, I think the Fondrens, where our position is that they meet, that they are,
So let's talk about not the, so we're not getting into the criteria yet. Do you have any objection to the granting of party status with respect to Christmas plants?
I do as to particular criteria.
This would be the time to talk about
The Fondrens are next door neighbors, so under at least one of the criteria, they have party status. Linda Titus, I think she does not have, does not qualify for party status under some of the criteria.
which ones.
So, air pollution and noise, but on that one, on that one, I can easily see how the commission would give her temporary status. And then let's wait and see if she shows that she can actually hear the project, noise from the project. As to water supply, criteria 2 and 3, the applicants, or excuse me, the filing by Chris does not show any adverse impact. It doesn't identify any adverse impact. It says that, and indeed, I think it agrees that if the condition is imposed, according to the permit that we filed, there will be no adverse impact. So I don't think they have party status under either of those, and we object at this time, and that should continue. As far as traffic, the Fondrens may have party status. Linda Titus, we don't think she does, but I can easily see how you would allow them temporary status and then see where the proof goes as to whether or not they're adversely impacted. The municipal services, anyone has identified as a reason for party status under that is a generalized concern that taxes might go up if this project is granted. We think neither the Fondrens nor Titus have shown that they have party status, and we object at this time. That will also carry over to another person who's objecting. Criteria 8, I think that the objection goes to, and I think the objection goes to, well, I guess there are two. One, can they see the site? And Linda Titus can't see the site. And so that goes to the general aesthetics. As far as the noise portion of aesthetics, we believe that Linda Titus will not be able to hear the project. And so we object to Linda Titus on any, but if you want to hear, I'm anxious to hear their testimony that they will have as to showing as to whether or not Linda Titus will be able to hear the project. But she can't see the project. And my understanding of criteria 10 party status is that, and I didn't check this, but I think everyone has can qualify for party status under criteria 10. And if I'm wrong on that, I guess I'm wrong, but I think that's the law, and I'm not gonna sit here and argue with what I think the law is.
Chris, before we go, I'll
Yes.
give you a chance to respond. But so, John, I'm hearing no objection as to one for the, sorry, the names are,
temporary, well,
For the Fondrens, but you have no, and then, no objection to temporary party status with respect to Linda.
yes,
Correct, okay. And you'll have a chance to renew any objections after the hearing, right? So there'll be, we'll have a recess and there'll be an opportunity. Okay, so, and then, so, and then for 2 and 3, you object as to both.
so, yeah,
Correct. And then you have no objection on 5 for the Bondurans, and today temporarily for Linda.
yes.
For temporary, okay. Municipal services, you object. And then for Linda, you object to criterion 8 with respect to, visual impacts. And you would say temporarily, you have no objection to temporary,
Right, yeah.
okay, and then no objection to temp. So Chris, if you could, if I assume you want to, make an argument here, just stick to those ones that are really
Sure.
an issue here.
I'm happy to have Linda talk with the commission a little bit. That way you won't have to take my word for it. Yeah, hi Linda. Will you just tell these folks your name and where you live?
Titus, I live at 29 Van Dyke Road
And how long have you been at that property?
for 2007, so about 18 years.
Your property is immediately adjacent to Rachel Kendall's property, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And how many feet of boundary line do you share with Rachel's property?
Just a little over 1,200 feet.
And Rachel's property is property where you understand there's supposed to be a 200-person wedding event venue, right?
Yes, sir.
Have you been to applicant's property?
I have.
You were there today and you've been there before, right? Do you use the portion of your property that abuts Rachel Kendall's property?
Yes, I do.
How often do you use it?
At least each time I visit, depending on the weather conditions, sometimes more than once in each visit.
Have you been to that part of your property while you're in town this time?
Yeah, I was up there yesterday.
And what do you do in that area of your property?
I hike my trails.
What do you like about hiking your trails in that area of your property?
Well, I love birds, so yesterday all I could hear was, the crows, just the natural sounds. You can hear the brook a little bit, it's a little high this time of year, so I could hear that. Mainly, it's just the animals, the wind, and the birds, that's all you hear.
It sounds like it's quiet, yes?
Very quiet.
When you're in that portion of your property, are you able to see into the applicant's property?
It's like,
What sort of things have you seen on the applicant's property while you were hiking on your trails?
well, late last spring, I saw a truck parked right in front of mine, which is really okay, wasn't on my property. I thought it odd that it was so far uphill, but it was parked there. I saw, let's see, I can see Rachel's house. I can see in the distance the new building. I used to see a lot less when I hiked up there because there's a lot of trees and that's been cleared off. And, I've seen it.
Are you able to hear noise from Rachel's property on your property?
Well, last summer I heard a lot of construction noise and I could hear construction people talking to each other and hammering signs.
Do you believe you'd be able to hear the noise from a 200-person wedding venue with amplified music on your property?
On my property, yes.
Do you have a sense of where the proposed tent sites are, right? From
Yes,
the
I do.
site visit today? Are you able to see the tent site that's located behind the house?
I can see the home, I can see her house, and I think the tent site will be right adjacent to it.
And it's your understanding that the speakers that would play amplified music at these outdoor weddings, they're pointed, I believe, northeast or northwest?
Northwest, yeah.
And
Northwest.
is that directly at your property?
Yes, it is.
How do you get the water on your property, Linda?
I have a
Do you have an interest in making sure that well has water so you can live in your home?
Of course,
Do you have a concern that if the water demand on applicant's property would be too high, that perhaps you would lose access to water at your home?
it would be a concern, yes.
You use Old City Falls Road to access your home, yes?
Yes, I do.
And you understand the hundreds of additional vehicle trips that would result from this project would be headed up Old City Falls Road, right?
Yes, sir.
Would that make it more difficult for you to access your property?
More traffic, slower driving. Yes,
Might it create a risk to your personal safety as you use the roads around your home?
my biggest concern would be I arrive sometime in the afternoon, sometimes in the evening, because I travel to my home here. And, you know, if an event is starting in the afternoon, there's gonna be traffic going up, and if I'm arriving later than that, there's gonna be traffic leaving to it. So yes, it does concern me.
I don't want to be too personal, but do you enjoy the time-honored Vermont tradition of sleeping with your windows open in the summer?
Yeah, believe it or not, we have the windows cracked now because we want a little fresh air, and it's not that cold. We don't turn the thermostat up. You know, we just get under the covers. But I can hear the brook running, like I said, it's running high in the spring. I can hear the birds, yes.
And do you expect to hear the noise from a 200-person wedding amplified music?
I do expect to hear the noise from.
Is it important to you that the town of Stratford is able to maintain the roads around your home?
Absolutely,
Does that include Old City Falls Road?
yes, it does.
Do you have a concern that this wedding venue not place an unreasonable demand on the municipal service of road maintenance?
Of course, I mean, they do a great job with the roads, and every once in a while there's flooding, and sometimes Old City Falls Road is at times been a one-lane road until they can get up and fix it. But I mean, people that live up there know, but, yeah, it would be a concern for strangers navigating that. There are other ways to get in, but it would just take more time.
If you were to lose access to Old City Falls Road, or if it were to become not passable because of maintenance, would that impact you and making it more difficult for you to get to your home?
Yeah, there are other ways in, like I said, there are other ways in over Berkshire yeah, the other road that goes to the west. But we can get in, they were repairing the bridge after Irene damage and that go around. I mean, it just takes a little bit more time, so.
And just to put it all in a nutshell, do you believe there would be an impact on you and your property if this 200-person event space and wedding venue is permitted immediately adjacent to your home?
Yes, sir.
Is it helpful for you all to hear from Bob and Trudy as well?
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, thank you.
You want to rebut?
Yeah, I just had, in all of that discussion, Ms. Titus, I didn't hear any reference to any scientific proof as to you being able to hear music or events at the proposed venue. Do you have any evidence of a specific way in which you will be harmed by playing music there?
Well, Ms. Titus just mentioned specific sounds that she can hear from her property coming from applicant's land. She mentioned construction noise and folks talking. To the extent there's some suggestion that the burden is on me or Ms. Titus to produce scientific evidence, that's flatly wrong. The applicant has the burden of presenting you with enough evidence so you can make an affirmative finding that the criteria are met. We'll talk with applicant sound expert in a bit, but it's misleading to suggest that we have some obligation to come forward now with what's been referred to as scientific proof. The person who lives there just told you she can hear what's going on the other person's property.
Disagree. If someone comes in and wants to be a party, then they have the burden of proof to show a specific adverse impact on them. And what I haven't heard is any proof by Linda Titus that there's a specific adverse impact that may be created by the generation of noise, of sound at the proposed venue.
Ms. Titus mentioned interference with her ability to sleep at night in the summer with the windows open. Inability to enjoy the sounds of birds and the brook and nature when she walks on the trails on that part of her property. If those don't count as impacts on Ms. Titus and her property, I don't know what will. When we get to applicant sound engineer, we will talk about how the noise levels, their own analysis established this project needs to operate at or below or less than the volume of conversational speech, such that I think it will be extremely difficult to believe a 200 person wedding with amplified music would not be heard on Linda Titus's property, when she's already told you she can hear folks talking while they're doing construction on that property.
We've heard enough legal argument with respect to that. Anything else with respect to your clients? No, I'll return to Bullbank.
No, first of all, my lawyer's son will be at a disadvantage. But I have requested party status on the criteria 5A, 8, and 10. So someone, you probably needs to coach me how I should proceed with this. I can read what I've written my party status.
We got your, yep, I can help you. So we have your filing, thank you. The applicant's given a chance to object potentially to any of the arguments that you made or reasons why you requested party status. So for the commission's benefit, if you wanted to really briefly explain why you think that you have a particularized interest and you know what I should do is, if you don't mind, I'll just read this to you so we're all on the same page.
Stephen Wilby.
Thank you.
So for party status, what we're looking for is okay. So what we're looking for is the particularized interest. So for you to explain why the criteria that that you have a concern about, why it affects you specifically, either personally or your property. Okay.
I live on Old City Falls Road, just south of the border of the boundary line. And my house is directly on the road, 30 feet away from the midline. Every vehicle that goes, and the vast majority coming up Old City Falls, every vehicle that goes by, you see here, and in some cases, it's heavy vehicles, I can feel it, and you get potholes, and you have changes in the road surface. I feel that with the size of the scale of these organized meetings, that there's no possible way I'm not going to be infected by the volume and the numbers, or the frequency and the volume of the traffic in my house. Now, I did submit some photos and some explanation of where things sit. So basically what I'm saying is that vast amount, that increase in traffic over what there is now will have a definite effect on my property. They're right on the road, and everyone will be going by. And it makes it a little different than, working on a property like that, cars coming all the time. As an example, because there's a line curve, north of us, of my house, we can't safely come out of our driveway, back out of our driveway, back into it, and then so we were able to have a better chance of getting out with somebody else who would come. If that's the case now, there's a fairly light amount of traffic. And with the kinds of the numbers and the kinds of traffic that will be coming, well, mostly, I assume in the evenings and things like that, it just will not be a place that's going to be very enjoyable. If you get hit this constant traffic. I also wanted to, let's say, I don't know if I should be further with that. Or
Well, I think that's fine for restating your position with respect to RTN 5. John's already indicated he's not planning to make an objection with respect to 10, which is the town plan. So how about aesthetics, which is 8?
Um,
And again, just briefly, we got here,
okay.
and you'll get a chance to respond to John.
The fact is that it will no longer be what it is now as far as the kind of environment we're living in. It's going to be accelerated traffic, constant traffic, and it's going to make life a lot less pleasurable than it is now. And while they are claiming you won't hear the music, I think that defies common sense. We could hear Rachel's dogs bark anytime they barked. A couple of years ago, she doesn't seem to have the same dogs anymore. But I could hear them there, and it was disruptive. So if I don't know what else I should say.
I think that's fine for now. Again, you'll get a chance to respond if there are any objections.
Are you looking,
To see if you have any objections to Stephen
look,
Goldberg's party
in
status.
contrast to this Titus, the main route for our traffic, as I understand it, will go by his house. So I guess he should have party status under that. And as far as the sound goes, it's fine with us if we object, because we don't think he can demonstrate an adverse impact that other than a speculative impact. But I would certainly understand if the commission heard the evidence and then move on.
Great. So
I have to object right from the get-go, I believe, even though I think that oftentimes it's better for you to hear the evidence and rule on it after you hear the evidence.
So we're gonna go to that.
Thank you very much. We're going to take a brief recess and we're going to deliberate on preliminary party status requests.
Before
Alright.
we do that, I had a question.
Yeah.
Oh, just, you go ahead just before you officially break, just give me a couple of seconds to put up the screen and everything.
I just had a quick question. I'd like to know if there's someone here from the town of Stratford or the GRB. Didn't realize who you were, but I'm not surprised that you're here. Thank you.
And what's your role?
Members.
Member of the engagement.
No GRB though.
Yes, we have on GRB.
Okay, thanks.
And time commission.
And there's someone online, I can allow them to.
Oh, we have a hand up too.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So Bob, you should be able to unmute yourself. And I can, sorry, do your camera as well if you want.
Can you hear me?
Yep, and you can.
Yeah,
as well.
let me. All right. Let's see, there we go. Okay. No, I wanted to request party status also. I wanted to request that under criteria 1, criteria 5, criteria 7, and criteria 8. I have a residence at 63 Kendall Road. So I'm at the end of Kendall Road. It is about 4/10 of a mile from Rachel's to my property. I have concerns about the sound study that was done. I don't think that it truly reflects the impacts of having 200 people celebrating and also playing music at the same time. I do hear from the top of Kendall Road is a bowl. And so from the top of Kendall Road, I can hear what's going on at Rachel's. Primarily when she had dogs, I could hear dogs very clearly barking at the top of the hill. Transportation is obviously a critical issue. We share Kendall Road with the neighbors there. Kendall Road, there's not really a traffic study done on the Kendall Road impacts, but obviously Kendall Road, the traffic is very light there. And the road is very narrow. It's not a full 2 lanes in all places. And so the impact of having 75 or 100 vehicles coming up and down Kendall Road, I think is very significant from a transportation impact on us and on neighbors. And I think predominantly one of the things about this proposal is that the events that we're talking about, 12 a year, primarily being outdoor events, there's really only about 18 weekends where it's viable to have outdoor events. And so to have these large events, this large amount of traffic, predominantly, almost every single weekend in the summer, or 80% of them, does have a really large impact because that's when we're all using the outdoors. I think also on 5, the infrastructure, I don't think Kendall Road is prepared for that kind of traffic. We do have trouble with wet roads and mud and the like. So I think that's a critical consideration. And the municipal services are going to have to be increased to support this kind of traffic load. That's criteria 7. I think, criteria 8 is worth real consideration here. These particularly weddings will be going on every weekend, almost every weekend of the summer. What is now open field areas on Kendall Road will become parking lots with 75, 80, 100 cars. And that has a huge aesthetic impact on the neighborhood. And so I think that under criteria 8, that's a critical consideration. So I think that really summarizes my concerns with the emphasis on this idea that this has a big impact on summertime outdoor use for Kendall Road.
If I may, Scott, if you're granted party status, you'll get a chance to make those arguments. But you also mentioned criterion 1, and you didn't address how that impacts you.
Sound. I'm concerned about the sound study that was done, and I don't think it really reflects the total output of sound that's going to come out of these events.
Sorry, I got it. Thank you. Okay. So, any response from the applicant?
May I ask some questions? What is the distance from from the performance space to your home?
I looked at Google Maps. It looks about 4/10 of a mile as the crow flies.
Okay, so 4/10 of a mile, that would be something like 2,000 feet. I'm getting old, but I'm still able to do some math. So would that be?
Yeah.
About 2,000 feet.
Yeah, Kendall, 2,000 feet. Yes, yeah, I wouldn't argue with that. Yeah.
Question on aesthetics, is it to what you can see, or is your objection based on what you speculate you might be able to hear?
No, it's based on what I think it's based on what I can see. I mean, Kendall Road is a rural road with some beautiful fields that are going to be routinely used as parking lots. It's going to have a very significant visual impact. Yeah.
Based on what you can see from your property, or?
No, as we use the road. I mean, Kendall Road is our primary access, so we drive by there routinely on the weekends as we make trips in and out, and we use the road to walk and to exercise. And so we're walking down Kendall Road to Old City Falls Road and back up all the time. So it does have an impact.
It's not, you can't see, I haven't heard you say that you can see Rachel's project from your property. Is that correct?
I cannot see Rachel's property from my property, but I can, no, I cannot.
Okay. I guess so my objection would be that as far as sound goes, I don't think he's shown that there's a specific, concern at this time, but I would certainly understand if you wanted to hear that, hear the issue and consider it at the end. Aesthetics, I guess I'd do the same with aesthetics. It's the, you can't see the project from his property, and as to whether by walking by, he has enough of an adverse impact. I think that's something he'll have to, but I think we hear the testimony. I also heard him say he's got concerns about taxes, and I think that's just a generalized, it's not a particularized thing. Okay.
I don't know if I'm there in Kendall. I don't know if I can speak for.
So, so you would be requesting party status if you were going to potentially object to any of the, to the, raise any objections. I'm guessing as the mother and sort of co-applicant, you don't have any objections?
I do.
It's not, oh. Why don't,
What you said. I have an objection to the sound. I want to speak to that.
okay,
There it is.
Um,
The question is party status at this time, as to whether or not there's an actual impact, we're going to consider that down the road. So, my counsel would be, I think you were on.
All right, so we're gonna take a quick recess.
All right, Bob, I'm just gonna, disable all your stuff again. If you want to speak again when that time comes, you can raise your hand again. Thank you for your
Thank you.
participation.
Thank you.
okay, so we're gonna, we're not pausing, so the Are we recording?
Yeah, I never.
Unmuted? Yeah.
Thank you. The commission has unanimously agreed to grant preliminary party status to all who requested for all criteria they requested it for. At this point, the commission will accept testimony on the disputed criteria. The applicant has requested permission to address criteria 8 first. Does anyone have an objection?
And I may not have been clear, but I think, it would be criteria 5 so we can get Corey off.
I thought, so, yeah, we can do what you want to do.
I
I
think
thought you wanted
Corey
to do your
has-
noise. I think it was do your sound first.
So does the traffic guy have a limitation on how long he can be available?
1 second, he's trying to now. Hold on.
I can unmute him as well.
Yeah, I think he'd like to be sooner than later on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
You want to do 5?
5.
And when I say 8, I mean 8.
Yeah.
Okay,
Any objections?
yeah, are there any objections? Okay. Then you start.
So I think to do this as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible, I think Corey gave his report. He has 2 reports. And I don't know if Corey wants to say anything more on those reports, if you want to ask some questions, but
Okay.
you don't need to hear any more from me or from anyone else.
Hi, everybody. My name's Corey Mack. I'm the traffic guy. Would you like me to give a brief overview of our process and our conclusions?
It's up to you, but yeah, brief.
Sure. Again, my name is Corey Mack. I am a professional engineer operating in the transportation and traffic engineering world. I approach this project as I would most traffic studies. The first thing that we do is we kind of look at the overall proposal and what's being planned. This type of project is not a typical land use that we can go into the ITE, Institute of Transportation Engineers database of land uses and just estimate, it's going to be this many square feet, this many trips. Rather, we did like kind of a back down kind of calculation or estimate based on the number of guests that they're planning and some assumptions about, number of vehicles or people per vehicle and how people are going to be arriving at the site. And so we did that for both the infrequent large events with a capacity of 200 people, and then the more frequent smaller events with a capacity of, I believe it was 20 people. Using both of those 2 operating parameters, we estimated a trip generation for the infrequent large events that we estimated a peak hour of 73 trips generated in the peak hour. And then for the more frequent smaller events, I believe it was 11 trips in the peak hour. Both of those numbers are below the standard threshold for a full, what I would call traffic impact study, where you would, look at congestion on the roadways, the existing levels of service, that type of thing. In my professional opinion, I believe that was appropriate to not have to do a traffic study to that level, just because of the location. It's not there's no congestion to speak of, so to speak. That was not really a concern from my perspective as a traffic capacity of the roadways. There's not a lot of traffic out there now. The 73 trips that this will generate or is expected to generate will be easily accommodated within the existing capacity of the road network. And moreover, those 73 trips occur in 1 hour only on the days that there are the large events. On the other 40 events per year, that number of 11 is a very, a pretty small number and well below the threshold that would typically be studied by the Agency of Transportation. We made that conclusion that congestion and capacity was not an issue. So we also look at safety of the roadway. We went on site and we just observed the road conditions, there were no unusual conditions that you wouldn't expect on rural aggregate gravel surface roads. There were locations where it was narrow, but I am a believer that narrow tree-lined roads are actually safer to drive on just because people generally slow down for that type of thing. Safety wasn't really a concern, and that was further kind of verified by looking at the crash history. There was no obvious crash history. So the ultimate conclusion from the traffic and transportation site assessment was that the condition or capacity won't be affected by the project. And there was no safety issue that was going to be caused or exacerbated by this project. And I can pause for further questions or to go into further detail about our assessment.
And I should just clarify that apparently Chris identified that our application didn't match up with Corey's study in terms of the stated traffic impact. And the traffic impact that we believe will happen is as stated in Corey's reports, not as stated in the original application. You have any questions?
That is true. There was a modification to both the report and the table 5.e that was kind of brought to our attention. The daily trip count was estimated at 276 trips per day. And even though an earlier iteration of our study said, I believe, 326, and that was just, it didn't get transferred over correctly. Apologies. And that 276, I'm sorry, is on the peak event days too. Other days are, significantly less than that.
Okay, thank you, Corey. I'm going to turn the floor over to Chris.
Thank you. I just have a preliminary comment before I have some questions for Corey. We received yesterday at 1:59 p.m. another report from Corey that I have not had a chance to review and haven't had a chance to work with my client consultants regarding. So I'm just noting that I think we're going to run into a problem with Rule 18F or 10 VSA 6085F, where my clients need an opportunity to respond to all of the evidence that's presented, and we can't respond to something that we got at 1:59 yesterday. So I'm happy to do what I can do with Corey today, but I'm just flagging that at the end of the hearing, I will request an opportunity to respond to what we got just before 2 p.m. yesterday, the day before the hearing. Is it okay if I call you Corey?
May I?
Yes.
Just respond to that. Is Corey, would you be able to clarify what changes you made in the report yesterday from what you previously provided?
So the updated report, I'm not sure what date you're looking at on that report, but I believe it was at March 19th is the date of that report. We updated the total estimated daily trip generation from large site events, I believe was the primary thing that we changed. I think it did say 326 at one point, but that was revised down to 276. And that was just an error in how what our Excel formulas, and that was my apologies on that.
I just understand, you provided a report yesterday Had you provided that report in the zoning hearing previously, or did you provide different information?
I believe, or I provided it to the applicant's team. I don't know when it was submitted to what parties.
Okay, but what you provided yesterday in the Act 250 hearing was the same thing that the Chris has had in the zoning hearing for 6 weeks?
No.
No, okay. So what did you change in the report he made yesterday?
I am not.
Daily trips downward?
Yes, I believe so. I think that's what we're discussing here, is that the daily trips have been revised downwards.
Okay, and that's the only change you made, was to state data that indicated less of an impact.
That's the most significant change. I think, I believe there was another wording change that may have occurred, but I don't remember exactly what that was off the top of my head. I'm sorry, I may have lost
We're
the
not
connection.
really sure what caused it, so we're.
Corey, sorry, we were on mic, I was on mute, so.
Okay.
All right, Corey, we were having some really, some feedback. So I'm gonna turn, if you're, I'm gonna turn the volume on here again and see if we experience it.
My apologies if that's on my end.
Oh, that's a property.
I think he has, I think a question for Corey is, does he have, hey Corey, nod if you can hear me.
I can.
Okay, great. Do you have any other, do you have a phone on or anything else that could be causing feedback on your end? Do you think?
No, I do not.
No.
Is it still bad? I can mute myself when I'm not talking.
I'm only
Is anyone else unmuted? Can't see it.
muted. Let me check.
Jonathan might be unmuted.
Is anyone in the room somehow logged in to the meeting? No, okay.
I
Thank
just
you.
changed my speaker setup. That might help. Is this any better?
That's what Thanks for bearing with us. Sorry.
No. Is it? Did you hear me? I changed my speaker setup. Is this any better?
Corey, it looks like, did you change, it looks like you're using headphones before. Did you take those out?
I just did, and I should have turned it off.
Hold on, I'm gonna try to turn this up again. Let's see if it'll work. Corey, can you try muting? Or I could do it too, but could you mute yourself? Okay, now I'm gonna see it. So it's on our end.
It's on our end, huh?
All right. My phone is freaking down. Yeah. So let me do the switch. Just refresh the.
Would it be possible to get the sound from Corey by phone and not use this computer sound?
So this is gonna be the speaker regardless. So even if Corey called in, this speaker still needs to be the one that, and it's the speaker that is exerting this.
If I called him on my phone and put him on speaker and put it up next to it, would it still record it? Just thinking when it's.
Yeah, it's just then other folks, we still want the option for other folks to participate as well, so, appreciate the brainstorming, but I'm going to keep trying, for a little bit.
Should I still be muted?
Have it on from there.
Yeah,
We could do that. That's a good
we're
idea.
gonna have to record it then, and everyone's gonna have to rejoin.
Okay, let's not do that yet.
Yeah.
hear them, but here, Pete, now they can hear us. Take it
Okay.
away.
Hey guys online, we troubleshot, we can't figure out what it is. The best thing we can think of next is to try to turn everything off and turn it back on. Unfortunately, it's gonna take some time. So if we're gonna end now. If you wouldn't, it'll take about 10 or 15 minutes. So after we get off, if you wouldn't mind logging back in 10 or 15 minutes. Why
It
don't we
might
say
be
10?
quicker, but.
Let's
just
say
stay
10,
close.
well, let's say 10.
Yeah.
So we'll log, if you wouldn't mind logging back on at 12:20. And hopefully we'll be here. And I'm really, really, really sorry about about it. Okay, so again, sorry, we can't turn it on to hear you. So just come on back in 10 minutes. You'll have to relog. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so 10 minutes. Sorry.
So my. No, it's excellent. No.